Hey y'all, today, well, earlier today I was watching this YouTube person, and they're a Christian channel, and he was talking, he was watching this preacher, and he was kind of talking about, how it goes against what the Bible says, and yeah, it did, and he was talking about how, man, sorry, I'm just kind of tired, but he was talking about how we all have the Christ energy, right? We all have that God spark within us. And he didn't say it in those words, but he was noting that Jesus wasn't anyone special, that Jesus wasn't like the Son of God, but in a way, but he was, like we all are. We all are children of God, and we all are being urged at a soul level to grow through our limitations, to let go of our negative habits, our toxicities, our all the things, all the things. And this preacher was talking about how when you realize that you are Christ, and what I took that to mean is when you recognize the God spark within yourself, I suppose. Your Christed energy, your Christ consciousness, when you're tapping into that, you're free. As opposed to what the Bible would say is when you're believing that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and that's what set us free. And that's the only way that we're free. But I'm gonna take it as a little, I don't really believe either one. And I do and I don't. But I believe that the Bible was, and it's been proven to be distorted and manipulated, and that the religions, the powers that be, definitely wanted to keep us in the dark about so many things. And so they distorted a lot of things. And it's always messed with me. Even as a young kid, I was like, how do you know what's real? And I suppose, in a way, you don't really know. I feel like I do know. But then today I was watching, another testimony. It just kind of came up on my screen, and it was a guy who was really deep in Islam, and he died in his sleep, pretty much. And while he was dying, he was screaming out for Allah to save him. And he said that his guardian angel was pleading and begging, urgently, you have to call out to Jesus. He's the only one that can save you. Ask him to come into your heart and save you before you don't have a chance to come back. And he did. And he said, I had been calling out to Allah and there was another dude that popped up earlier also from the Muslim faith, and he was saying how many times that he had prayed and prayed for prayers to be answered, and just the differences in the churches, and how when he would go to mosque, it would be weeping and just miserable, and none of the prayers that they were praying would be answered. But he came to the Christian faith, and he had prayed for his mom to be healed, and she was healed. And it's not, there's times that people they spend time in their prayer closet, and they pray for hours and hours, and they fast for days and days, and that's how the healing happens, I suppose. But there's other times when you just ask one thing and it's there. And I don't know what is the determining factor between those realities. And it seems to be like the people that really are like against Christianity, that he saves them, you know, and he brings them to him. And something that this preacher was saying, and that the guy watching the video was saying, was like, oh, so we don't have to repent and we can just like live in our sin and da da da. And it's really not like that at all. Like, I feel like the preacher was missing a big key point to his sermon. And it's that it's not that you're like disconnected from God, like you're more close with God than ever before. And it's that we would have the relationship with God that Jesus had with God, and that we would be able to step into our highest selves in this lifetime. You know, have you ever thought about the fact that in the Bible there's people who God works through them? You know, they're not like magical people, right? God works through us. He speaks through us. He saves through us. He heals through us. There's so many things that happen that we don't even understand why we do some of the things we do, you know? And it just kind of plays out these wild storylines. Like this one story that popped in my head just now, this lady, she said she was praying. She's like, you know, whatever you want me to do, just tell me and I'll do it. And God told her to pull over and to go into this gas station, do a handstand in front of the soda machine, and walk out. And so many people would think that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. Why would God want me to do that? Or, you know, I'm not going to waste my time to do that. But she did it. And she smiled at the cashier, like when she was walking in. I think it was just her and him. And then when she was walking out, he said, "Why did you do that?" And she told him what she said, that she had asked for God to use her in whatever way that he needed to use her in. And like, there's so many ways that she could take, you know. What is the likelihood that she ended up on that exact road in that exact gas station? You know, it was not the way her story went, I believe it wasn't like a really busy place. And it wasn't like, oh, God told her when she asked that at this time on this day you go here and do this. Like, it was just, no, do this, you know. It's random, and it seems random, but it's so not. So the cashier ended up telling her that he planned to kill himself that evening, and he had a gun under the register. And he said, you know, pretty much like, if you don't want me to kill myself, if you're real, have someone come in here and do a handstand in front of the soda machine. Like, what's the likelihood of that? And scientists have been trying to prove all these things that has always been true forever, you know, and they call it something else, but it's God. It's divine. It's our eternal souls. Like, yeah, maybe my human self isn't a divine being, but my soul is. Your soul is worthy. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are loved. God loves you. God sees you. He hears you. Even when you don't think that you're being heard, even when you feel like you're alone. One of the men talked about how in the Muslim faith, it was, you know, talked so negatively about Christians and the Jewish people and just everything. And I think he's even said like they didn't believe that Jesus was crucified, which is kind of wild to me. Because that right there is like a key point in the Christian faith, like his crucifixion. And it's such a big part of the story. And how common crucifixion was back in the day. Why would they not? Why would they not take him, the way that people are? Just the way when they see your light, how they can hate you and literally try to ruin your life just for you being you. Because you're happy. Because you are healing. Because you are still yourself despite all of the things that you have been through in this world. God's fighting for you even when you're not fighting for yourself. And if you ask for the signs, if you ask for the help, if you ask for him, he is there. It doesn't matter what you call him. And I don't know if I've said it in another video, the argument about his name. Yeshua, Joshua, Jesus, Yeshua. And so many people, I even struggled with it for a little bit, that am I not talking to the true Jesus or God because I'm not saying his name correctly? And that would be the ultimate trick of the devil. That would be the ultimate trick of this world, this game that we're in, where everything is false. Where the religious leaders who are supposed to be helping and saving us are just disgusting half the time. They're many times more corrupt than the people down the street. They hide behind these masks and they call themselves holy, but there's nothing holy about them. And when you really get into that communication with God and that desire for change, that desire to be the best version of yourself, you have no choice but to repent, but to ask for forgiveness, but to cry out to God, to throw everything at his feet. And it's not that he doesn't know everything that you're going through, but there's something that happens when you purge that, when you allow yourself to let it go, when you give it over, and you stop holding on, and you keep praying, and you keep growing, and you keep trying to help others and yourself. Like it's, you're proving to yourself, you're proving to God that you are, like, you're doing the work that you came here to do. It's not easy. It's not easy to let go of addictions and let go of the world, let go of your friends, let go of your family, let go of everything that you know. To lean on God 100%, to know, like, that's it. Like, if you have nothing else, that's all that you need. It's not easy. But it builds you in a way that nothing else can. It rebuilds your relationship. Not that you're ever apart from God, because he's always there. He's always a part of you. He's within everything, and he's within everyone. And he very much does move through people every day. But we get so distracted in this world, and we get so distorted in our minds and in our hearts that we can't see the truth. And we're so busy arguing about what the Bible says, what the Quran says, what our parents teach us, what we know to be true, when many times it's not the truth. And it's not to say that there's not beautiful lessons and, God-breathed words in the Bible. But is that all there is? No. Was that really what Jesus was trying to teach us? I don't believe so. I do believe he was teaching us to love each other and love ourselves and to love God. That above everything else. And when you strive for that, what does that really look like? That looks like letting go of your addictions. That looks like taking better care of yourself, working out, eating better, not watching so much TV, not listening to the music, regardless if you believe the reality of the music being brainwashing, the books being brainwashing, the school systems brainwashing, the religions brainwashing. You don't even have to subscribe to all of that, but it's still true. It still takes you away from the truth that your inner self knows. And this man in this sermon was speaking of, Buddha and Yogananda, and the person on the channel was saying, I don't even know who that is. What about the Bible? What about the Bible? We're not going to take note of the Bible? People are so stuck in the Bible, and I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm not saying that you don't need to know it, and you don't need to read it, and you don't need to learn for yourself. I'm not saying that at all, because I fully believe that you should, and perhaps maybe I wouldn't be where I am now had I memorized it long ago, but I know what I know. I've always felt a kinship to Jesus. Like, I've always been the black sheep. I've always been outcasted, even as a young child. And it's weird that I, as a premature baby, fought so hard to be here, and then it's just been a shitstorm. Like, okay, here we go again, But now it's like, it is what it is. It's the breakdown to build up, and that's okay. And I kept wanting to like comment on this channel because I understand where he's coming from, right? But if you're not really taking the whole scope, like all of the Dead Sea Scrolls, all of the lost documents, just all of the information that we have, and if you're not like tapping into your inner self, that inner guidance, and that deep connection with God that you have, you do get led astray. It is confusing. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things about the Bible that I didn't even believe or fully understand until I read the lost books. And I've been wanting to reread them, but I don't know who has them because I loaned them out. And in reality, does it matter if I know everything by heart? God still loves murderers. God loves all of us. You don't have to memorize and know everything by heart to be saved. You have to have that relationship. The like understanding. The trust. The trust that even if you don't know what you're doing, where you're going, how things are going to work out, that you know that God knows how it's going to work out. That God has got you no matter what. No matter what. And no matter what mess you get yourself into, no matter how long it takes to come back, He's got you and He's there and it's going to be okay. And sometimes we do have to sit in those lessons that we get ourselves in, and it sucks. And sometimes we're surrounded by people who hate our freaking guts, and it sucks. But you don't have to hate you. You don't have to abandon you. You don't have to lose trust and faith within yourself and within God, within Source, creator of all, the divine. It's all working for you, even in the chaos, even in the sadness, even in confusion. It's interesting to me how many people are so shut off from all of this different knowledge because and I'm not saying the Bible's not true, because it is. It's real. It's true. It is telling us what's going on. I believe we are in the end times. But I also believe that the church that we've been following for so long is not what Jesus wanted us to be doing. And many of the churches aren't even really loving and helping and healing people in the ways that they could be. And so how can they say they are of Christ when many of the people just put on a show and hide their true selves from themselves, from everyone else? Not everyone, you know. It's a mixed bag, as with everything. NDEs from like people going to hell keep popping up on my feed. And today in this one that I watched, it was talking about going to hell for eternity, and that it was a lie, that his belief in Allah was a lie, the Quran was a lie. And I know some people are going to watch this and they're going to be so hateful and upset, and they're not going to believe me, they're not going to agree, and that's okay. I'm not asking you to just blindly follow me, blindly believe anything that anyone says. I'm asking you to be open and to search and seek for yourself. But what I found out today was the Bible it's not even something that people can truly find over there. Like, this guy said he wanted to know, and he searched and searched, and it took him months and months, and he couldn't find it. And he eventually found a part of it, the Gospels, like not even all Gospel, just a part of the Gospels, and he downloaded it, and he read it and read it, and then he started handing it out because it had moved him so much. It had given him life, like true life, you know? And it's beautiful. But some people leave Christianity and go to any multiple different religions, Hinduism, Islam. I don't know if that's right, but I think so. Shoot, Satanism, for real. And they feel like this is right, this is it. They have this revival of themselves. And so for them, that feels true. Because what they knew to be true, what they had grown up with, or what they had somewhat known, didn't hit their heart in the way they needed to. Perhaps they didn't have the right preacher. Perhaps they didn't have the right knowledge or wisdom or the time or the seeking. And they, Christianity is it's, mocked all over the world. And that's another thing that made me think, it must be real. Why else is it mocked, like, so blatantly in your face? Like, it's literally, like, so evil the way that they do it. There's truth, it's truth. And I wonder, am I still off path? Am I still wrong? And all I can do is just follow what it feels true to me, just as others do, and it's not going to be the same path. We all have different journeys. It takes us down all these different roads. But what's healed me and helped me is having that connection with God. And I don't pray in the ways that I need to, I'm sure. I don't spend hours in a closet praying like I feel like perhaps I need to. And maybe that's where my life is really going wrong, because I'm not praying enough. I'm not talking to Him enough. And then I'm, meditating, but if I'm not praying, what answers am I going to be finding? What am I going to be connecting with, And so many people say that meditation is like evil, and it opens you up to, demons, and it empties your mind so that demons can come in, and there was a lot of times that I was afraid of that for various reasons, that yoga would take me down that path, that psychedelics would take me down that path, weed would take me down that path, having sex with people could take you down that path. The reality is, so many things can take you down that path. And I think that a lot of times people have those demons within them already, and they just didn't know. Or perhaps they don't have the closeness with God, and so it leaves that little window open. And when you do dabble in those things, it takes a different turn. And I know there's this guy who did like psychedelics, and he died during his trip, I think, or he went to hell during his trip. And he was at the table of like gluttony and greed, I believe, where they're like, they're sitting at this table and food is just constantly being shoved down your face. Like if you love sweets, it's just constant sweets, and until you die, and then you do it all over again. And he was there, and the demons were angry because he was a Christ follower. And they said, he isn't supposed to be here or something like that. Like he was messing with the devil's playground. It's been a while since I've watched it, right? And it tripped me out, because when I did psychedelics, when I've done mushrooms, there's times I felt, I love myself, and I love this earth, and I am one with God, and I wanted to, like, just take care of my home, and take care of my children, and take care of myself. And, I think that a lot of times the things that trip people up is things that were already broken within them. And I don't know broken is the right word. And people get tripped up about words all the time, right? And so, like, if I worry so much about everything, then I won't say anything. And so I can't be freaking out about all the different words I'm saying all the time, or how people are going to misperceive me, or how people are going to react, or whatever. And then there's the other time that I posted about, but I didn't fully post. I don't know. I don't think I did it justice, but the time that I talked to shrooms. Like, I've done shrooms quite a few times, but not every time have I had legit trips, I guess. But this world is spiritual. You know, there's trees, they have spirits. The earth is a spirit. We all have spirits, right? Like, places, it's so much more, right? But it's not to say that those things are above God, because it's not. But it is important to treat the earth well, to spend time giving love to others, and possibly spend time transmuting negative energy, to spend time in the woods, being kind to the trees. You know, there's this one testimony where this girl talks about her crystals and how, you know, people will talk to their crystals and people will give them so much like power over their lives, you know. And it's not to say that crystals aren't powerful, because they are, but I believe that that's another way that God uses us and uses this world, like ley lines, you know, like destined meetings. And you can choose to let the world, the TV, the music, the media, your preacher rule your life, and lose touch with God and lose touch with reality and allow yourself to be demon possessed or oppressed. And not everyone allows it, because so much of it is very unintentional. I feel like people don't understand the spiritual warfare and the reality that we are in. And it's getting thicker, you know. And I know how hard it can be to come out of those turbulent times of your mind. Things are so chaotic. And it sounds crazy to say it's a spiritual attack. But it's the reality. And you can take the time to tap into your divine self, your God connection, you know. Take time to tap into the earth energy. It's all for us. It's all for our growth if we allow it to be. But this girl was talking about her crystals and how, you know, I believe she was like really giving them over all of her power. That's the same thing with relationships. You can give your partner all of your power and all of your energy, your everything, and you lose yourself. It can happen with anything. But as she came back to Christian faith, and she's learning, you know, prayer heals and fasting, and then she says they're just rocks. They're just rocks. But they're not just rocks, bro. Like, yeah, they're rocks. But that's like saying you're just a human. Like, I know you're just a human, but you're not just a human. You're so much more. This earth is so much more. This journey is so much more. You're meant for so much more. And God wants that for you. And I even like the one NDE from this morning, he was talking about how he was falling and he was in the blackness. And I've heard it talked about in so many near death experiences. And even a friend of mine, he died for a little while, and he said, I asked him what it was like, and he said it was just black, just all black, like black, the blackest black. And they say it's blacker than black, like void, right? And there was nothing there. He's just there. And I thought maybe it's because you were like waiting. Like God knew that it wasn't your time. But you weren't able to really be in your body. But in this dude's NDE from this morning, he was like falling in the dark abyss, screaming for Allah, and just, pleading to be saved. And he said there was a portal at one point, like toward the end, it was his angel pleading with him and urging him to cry out for Jesus to save him. Like his angel was pleading with him, like you would plead with your loved ones, like, come on, like you have to do it, like there's no other choice, there's no other chance, you have to do it now. And your guardian angels do love you, they're with you. How could they not love you? How could they not love you? And they've been with you your whole life. They know all of the things that you went through. And if you believe in reincarnation, they were there. They know the things from the past lives. They know how hard it is. They know the people that tortured you throughout your life. They know why you are the way that you are. And they love you still. And they're there for you still, guiding you and wanting you to ask for their help, to reach up, to heal, to come back to God, to come back to yourself. Because as much as you might feel like getting over on someone or getting revenge or taking everyone's money or, whatever you want to do, or you're just living the life, you're just in this crazy world and, you have to do messed up things because this world is messed up. And if you don't do messed up things, people are going to hurt you. Okay. Yeah, people are going to hurt you regardless, okay? They're going to hurt you if you're kind. They're going to hurt you if you're mean, And it just hurts you even more. And you don't even realize it. And it pulls you away from yourself. And it pulls you away from God. And it's not what we're here for. So many of these stories that I've watched, they cry out for Jesus. And he just swoops them up. And lately I've been feeling like maybe I'm going down the wrong path. Like maybe I'm not getting it. What am I not understanding? And I know now, I think I have to just let it all go. I have to let it all go. Let it all fall. I need to, so that it can be rebuilt. And it's going to be messy and it's going to suck a little bit, but it will be so much better and I will be so much better for it. And it's going to be a journey coming back, as it always is. But I'm so ready. I've been ready for the change for so long, And I feel like a lot of you have been ready for the change for so long. You've been ready to really open up your heart, to really allow God to make these changes within your life, to remove the people that aren't for you, the addictions that aren't for you, the places that aren't for you, the beliefs that aren't for you, to allow you to become your highest version in this lifetime. And there's no one else who can say what that is. You know you best, and God knows you better than you know you. Bruh. Such a day. What a day. And I wonder, like, am I destined for eternity of hell? Is that really just the paradigm that I'm subscribing to? Is it the reality regardless of what you believe? And now that just made me think about this one hell testimony that this guy was talking about. This, it's so crazy. He was like transported to like this a part of his story was like he was in hell, and it was like a lush green all of a sudden in the house. There was a house, right? In the house he could see these two demons, and they're big, and they were like talking and trying to not let this person hear them, this other person that's in the house, right? And this guy is able to see everything, but he doesn't really know what's going on. So he watches this guy play out this day. He's in good spirits. And he goes to start preaching this sermon. And there's a crowd of people. And all of a sudden, the guy's feeling happy, I guess. I think that's, yeah. He was feeling chill, like regular, like himself, Like he wasn't in hell. Like it was a deep illusion. Like he was not in hell at this point. Like that's what this man was seeing. Like he was not in hell. He's in the lush green. He's in the earth, doing his sermon. And all of a sudden, the crowd starts getting angry with him, starts yelling these crazy things at him, telling him to kill himself. And then his two children walk up, and they're crying, and they say, why did you lie? Why did you bring us here? Like pretty much like he made them be where they are. And as they start getting angry, the illusion falls, and he notices he's in hell. And that's his hell, is that this situation replays over and over and over again. It's torture. And the demons love it. And the guy was the creator of the Mormon faith. And there's somewhere I believe I read it, or it was this kid's like dream, his warning dream. And it was like a bunch of tents, and it was all the religions, and all the religions were wrong. And it was like the end, like they had no time. And I thought for a while, I was like, what if the government is like putting these thoughts and dreams in our minds, because they have the technology to do certain things like that, and it's really good fear tactics, But there's so many that I've watched and heard and just listened. Some are just stories like spoken out. Some are videos of like really young kids. Some are older. And it's just, they're heartbreaking. And the dreams that people have of the last days, and it's just, I feel like it truly is God warning us, because he loves us and he doesn't want us to be separate from him. That's another thing that is like a common theme in these stories, is that these testimonies and near-death experiences, and people say, when you're down in hell, there's no hope. You don't have God. You don't have that. Like, it's so different than it is on the earth, and the hope is so deep and so dark, or the despair is so dark. And it's not like it is here. And if you suffered from depression or that lostness, you know, the feeling like you're separate. Yeah, sorry. It feels like so empty. Feels so lost. Feels so dense, like so heavy, so separate. But it's not the same as in that low space of hell. And then I keep thinking of this one where this guy was like screaming and screaming, and he screamed for Jesus to save him, and he pulled him out. And he said he was there for not very long, like in the dream or whatever, the in near death experience. He was not in hell for a long time from what he perceived, but Jesus laughed at him, and it was and said something like he was already there for like a billion years or something like that. But if you're in hell for eternity, that's not the same as just like a sentence of time frame, right? Yeah. So there is the heaven on earth, the new heaven on earth, and there's also the hell on earth that you choose. And I believe that the way you choose in life is also chosen in death. And I wonder, you know, if you're on like your last incarnation, if you have reached those levels of enlightenment, of growth, do you also reach a different level of heaven after your death, your physical death? Because you're not going to be reincarnated. You've already learned all the lessons. You've already gone through all of it. I don't know. We could go back and forth forever on all of the things that people say, and that, you know, what's real and what's not. But I do know that God is real, and that He's with us, and He speaks to us on the daily, and He's funny. And it's interesting because I don't know if in the Bible they have God's humor, you know. But I know in living my life, like, I've known God's love, and I've known His patience, and I've known His humor, and I've known, you know, like, it used to crack me up. I'm like, God has to be funny because this place is freaking crazy, right? And I'm hilarious. So, of course, God's funny, because I wouldn't be funny if He wasn't, you know? Like, it's all the best things of us. And that's beautiful. And, yeah, I think that's all I really have today. It's just been a long day, and I really, I was questioning a lot, right? Like, recently I got a Reiki attunement, and I was speaking to the teacher before I got it done, and we had just a talk, and she kind of taught me how to do it. And after we spoke, a I was wondering, because I've seen it previously where, oh, Reiki is of the devil and Reiki gives you demons and it's like evil powers and blah blah blah. Okay. So after speaking with her, I was questioning it again, and I wonder, like, am I going down the wrong path? And what pops on my screen, I didn't look for it. It just, and I haven't even been looking for like near-death experiences or testimonies or anything. Like, I really kind of like was taking a break because it was a lot. It's a lot. Like, when you start going down those rabbit holes, like, it could get kind of crazy. But this testimony came up of this guy, and excuse me, and he was talking about how he felt different. He was always different, and he was kind of outcasted, right? As many of us chosen one are. As many of us are, right? I feel like we're all chosen. We all are. It's just, do you choose it for yourself? Because God chooses you, regardless if you choose you. So he was talking about how, he started getting into like magic and stuff and going to this shop, and like all these new age people and just people who are already like deep in it were telling him like, oh, you're special and you are meant to do great things and blah blah blah, and you're a healer and da da da. And so he learned Reiki, and he, was being told like he's meant to be a great Reiki healer. And I was just thinking, like, I was listening, right? But it just was making me think, like, the devil really plays on our need to feel loved and special and seen. And when we don't have that connection with God, we don't see it for ourselves. Like, we're all special, but we're all not special. Like, we're all different and the same. And it's not that I am meant to do anything extraordinary than the next person or someone else. Like this man, he wasn't like meant to be out there doing this big whole thing, but he is, just because he's meant to be being himself. When you live in your true authenticity and your true love for God, for yourself, and for each other, you shine like no other. It's natural. It's different, right? So he was talking about how he would pray to like nature and pray to all these gods and praying to like the woods, and I was just, I'm not like that. I pray to God and I talk to God and I ask God for help, and I ask God for healing and for God to help me, to use me as a vessel to heal. And so I don't think it's the same, truly. And I have oftentimes wondered if Jesus had learned Reiki, or just that, energetic control to move the divine energy through himself, his God self, to heal, to deliver people from the demons, Many people feel like they're delivered and they are free, but they're not. The demons lay dormant. And I'm just now thinking about that freaking video earlier, the preacher and the YouTuber, and he kept saying, this is the Antichrist, this is the Antichrist, this is the Antichrist. And I thought, am I the Antichrist? Is that, like, because I have a flow, it's like a mixture of both. And I am, I'm not one that can blindly follow. especially knowing the history of the churches, knowing the ways that things have been distorted, knowing the evil that is within them, how they've just, it's so deep, yo. But I, as much as I don't know, I do know. And as much as I do know, I don't know. And I know I just said the same thing twice, you know? I'm tired, and I have to finish some things and then get to sleep. So I'm gonna hop off because this is way longer than I thought, and I didn't even plan to talk about all this stuff. And I'm sure I'm repeating stories and whatever. And I suppose you could say that recently I watched like a fellow content creator's video that they suggested I watch, and in the video they were talking about like no one can know the truth, and we're just making assumptions, and you can't assume, and isn't it better to like, love each other and take care of the earth and blah blah blah. And I just don't, nowhere in God's love does it say not to do all those things. Like, I feel like people are missing such big chunks of the reality of the stories, and it's twisted, And when you really really let go and allow yourself to fall apart, allow yourself to be rebuilt, allow yourself to be opened up to what God has for you, your life will never be the same, and you don't have to know everything. God's going to show you what you need to know, And I can't pretend that God's not real. I can't pretend that I didn't learn all the things that I've learned throughout my life, that I haven't seen people's evil, that I haven't seen the way that they switch. I might not have experienced as much as many other people, but I have experienced a lot. And it got me where I am. And regardless if I'm on the 100% true path or not, I'm still being led by God. I'm still being called, and I'm still helping, and I'm still healing. And I know, I've thought about it, if I'm not in the right path, if I'm not doing the 100% truth, then me helping people, that would be leading them astray. But so much of my life, I didn't do anything because I was so afraid to do the wrong things. I had been programmed that I was wrong for so long. I just was so afraid of doing anything. And you can't live like that. We're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna mess up, and we're gonna go down dark alleys, and we're gonna get distorted and distracted and lost at times, and we're gonna sometimes take the wrong paths, and that's a part of it too, but I really don't think that's what I'm doing. It's interesting, I have this knack for knowing people and seeing what they need, and being able to easily understand them and their place in life and the things that they need to hear and the ways that they could improve and things like that, right? but there's like a blinding when it comes to myself. And even now I wonder like my head is so quiet now. It's not ruminating. It's not running wild. It's not super negative or angry or sad or nonstop anxious. It's more quiet than ever. And I just sorry. I was just wondering, like, is God quiet because I'm not doing something right? But perhaps God's quiet because I'm doing it correctly for once. And He's waiting for me to get through these tests that I'm about to be in. That's, it's time for me to prove and level up and truly lean on Him in a way that I never have before. Not that I never have before, but I have a tendency to like ask people questions and ask for advice, and I want people to confirm what I already know. And a lot of times they do, or sometimes it'll be I should have just not even asked the question. Should not even looked for that answer because that was a waste of my time and breath. But I think perhaps that I'm being called to trust myself, to know that even when I don't really know, I know that I am connected and that I, am on point, am on purpose, am right on time. Even if it's late. It's funny that I like came out of my mom so early, but I'm like late and slow as a child, irritating everyone and late to jobs and late to this and late to that and late to get my shit together and late to come back to God and blah, blah, blah. But it's right on time because I needed to learn all the lessons that I learned. And, it doesn't always seem like that because we go through these troubles and these struggles and these trials and it like rips us apart in all these different ways, but it really allows you to grow and rebuild in a way that you never could before. So trust that whatever you're going through, regardless of what it seems like, it's for your good. It just might take a little time and it just might take a little patience, and just trust that God is for you. God is with you. He will never abandon you. He's always with you, and keep talking to Him, even if you're not getting the answers, even if you don't know what the heck you're doing, because more times than not, you do know what you're doing. You are on the right path. You do have the answers that you seek. It's within you. Sometimes we just gotta chill out, zone out, let things fall where they may. Let the people leave you, and walk away. I hope you're doing great. If you hung around this whole time, I appreciate you more than you know. And like, share, subscribe, because I just realized that I'm going to put this on my YouTube. Thank you so much for hanging in with me. Comment whatever the heck you want to comment, even if it's some hate stuff. If you want to, debate me about whatever. I used to be down for that nonsense, but I don't know what I'm down for now. Honesty is always a plus. And if you feel the need to speak out and have some kind of conversation, I will be willing to do that unless I'm called not to. Take care of yourself, drink your water, get your sleep, and don't worry so much because it's all going to be okay. In divine time, right on time. Peace.